study, we would like to give you a picture of Aga Khan schools. Aga Khan schools are operated in 3 regions in Pakistan, that is in Gilgit-Baltistan, Chitral, and Karachi. So overall, we have 103 schools in Gilgit-Baltistan, and we have 45 schools in Chitral and 3 schools in South. So the study which we conducted it's about transition from ECD class to primary grades. So this transition, we had a study about transition and the interventions after the study we have taken. So the background is we internally conducted a survey and an analysis about the ongoing pedagogical practices, that what is going on, and then we came to know about some of our challenges that our students were struggling in primary classes with the basic numeracy and the literacy skills. And the students were unable to cope up with the middle school curriculum, like they were struggling in grade 6, and then on some challenges were also found at secondary level. So, and with that, there was a concern from the community as well, from the people, and the enrollment was also declining due to that. The main purpose of this study was to enhance deepened understanding of what the ECE curriculum is saying and what the primary grades curriculum is there, like what is the expected learning outcome at the end of ECE curriculum, and similarly what a primary grade 1 would like to have as an entry student. So we then try to explore the factors that what are the factors which are creating some challenges for us. So we try to find out those factors, and then we again explored about the minimum learning standards. It's a terminology that we are using in our system. Basically, at that time when we are talking about this study, Pakistan, ECE national curriculum was there. That was only for Kachri class. That was catering from 3 to 5. There wasn't any bifurcation for 2 to 3 years age group, 3 to 4 years age group, and 4 to 5 years age group. So we are having the nomenclature of PP1, pre-primary 2, pre-primary 3 from age 2 plus for PP1, 3 plus for PP2, and 4 plus for PP3. So it was an overall challenge for us to deal with the pre-primary 2 and pre-primary 1 as well. So we tried to define those minimal learning standards for 3 to 4 and 2 to 3 as well. And we also tried to analyze the strands of learning outcomes at primary grades, by the end of primary and pre-primary as well, and by aligning them with the national curriculum. And another thing was to revise our pedagogical practices, what we need to take away from our existing practices, what we need to use as a practitioners, and what to bring additional to bring in the change. So again, we worked on redefining our PD framework, that either how the way we are doing the PD, is it supplementing us or not. Then we had again revised our PD curriculum based on it. And again, it's a challenge for any regular school system to adopt every approach. So we need to understand about the best practices those are used across some national schools or international schools. And we also were trying to find out some specific interventions that we have to figure out for either numeracy, for Urdu, or for English. Next. So the methodology was, it took us almost 2 to 3 years to identify the gaps and then work on them. So initially we had to interview the key stakeholders from the parents, from the communities. Then we have specific focus group discussions with teachers, school heads, and the academic leaders who were there in the school. And we have to take specific classroom observations. So, and of course, literature review and exposure visits to one of our best schools, AKLC Dubai as well. Carry on. Next, please. So we did this study in 3 regions in Gilgit, 2 schools of Gilgit and 2 schools of Chitral and 3 schools of Karachi. So South, we call it South region and it's Karachi. So next, please. Some of the research findings were we were able to identify some of our gaps in our existing practices, and that analysis showed us that some gaps were there at ECD level, pre-primary level, pre-primary curriculum, and then again the same thing was at primary grades. It also reflected on some of the practices that needs to be revised, and we have to enhance them to enhance the students' learning outcomes. And we were able to identify that some cramming was done with the SLOs at primary grades, eventually which was affecting the primary ACD grades, then primary and the middle class levels as well. So the study also confirmed about the integration of continued learning outcomes. If I have to, at ECD level, we need to understand what we have to do by the end of the term or by the end of an academic year. That needs to have an integration with the primary grades as well, with the grade 1, because in most of our schools, in ECD, we basically work on socially, emotional development and life skills. But again, we have to work on the content, and it was very necessary for us to align the content pedagogical practices of ECD with grade 1. Next, please. The main gaps, like there were some significant gaps, especially in literacy. So considering English as our second language or sometimes third language for us, it was really it was determinant that our teachers' knowledge, content knowledge regarding teaching English and Urdu, so Urdu was really significant. And for that, and early literacy requires systematic understanding what we have to do initially and how to integrate those steps. For that, we need to build on the teacher's knowledge, their pedagogical practices. So it was very dominant that the early literacy steps which were required to be understood by a teacher at ECD level was missing. They have to be very strong at phonological and phonemic awareness activities, how to do read alouds, how to do storytelling, how to do comprehension from the stories for reading, how to do comprehension for writing. That was a very huge gap. And then it was also found that over the years, we were trying to teach only letters. We were not focusing on sounds. And eventually it was becoming difficult for the students to understand what to do by the end of it, right? So some of the classroom practices were not effective for us. Like it was more of a teacher talk and not integration. There wasn't any integration of hands-on activities. So this finding gave us an insight on what to do, what we have to keep on in our classes, and then what things needs to be taken out. Next, please. So this research finding also suggested we need to devise our curriculum framework properly. We need to do academic interventions. We have to keep good teachers at ECD level, and there needs to be a seamless transition from ECD class to primary grades. There shouldn't be any difficulty for a grade 1 child to read the books of grade 1 or to do the activities in the grade 1. There should be a seamless transition so that students could go on in the primary grades very easily. And of course, it was also found that assessment practices needs to be revised. Since in ECD we used to do formative assessment, and it is not of much more of paper pencil. It's all about observations, running notes, and checklists. So based on that study, we had to revise those practices as well. So integrated learning was also found out that we need to do integrated learning. We need to integrate the themes along with those hands-on activities in the class. And yes, 21st century skills needs to be integrated by either it's integration of technology, either it's integration of phonics approaches that we have to integrate them. Next, please. And it was also identified that we need to uh, find out some interventions which needs to be which will be replicated in Gilgit, in Chitral, in South as well, because each region has its own competency and they have their own demographical challenge as well. So and of course, it was also founded that our students were not good readers at that time. So we need to find such interventions where we have to work on the reading skills of the kids as well. Assessment was redefined by integrating the writing practices, the reading practices. More integration was done in it. Okay, next please. From here on, my colleague Jamil will carry on.
Welcome to my this session. Actually, this study was done, to compare the pre-primary practices and the lower primary practices in our system. So we were having issues. In those days, there were, single pre-primary class. After 1 year, children were promoted to primary grades, especially grade 1. So we were having issues in reading, writing, and there were issues related with teaching, pedagogies, and other things. So the study was done to identify those gaps. So on the basis of this study, we were able to change or some of the practices, and we were able to change the different changes were done. For example, in those days, first the nomenclature was changed. That in pre-primary there will be three classes for 2 years, for 3 years, and for 4 years. So 3 years model was adopted to minimize that gap which is happening in grade 1. So this model was adopted after this study. So now we have three pre-primary classes across the region. So in some schools we have two pre-primary classes. In some schools we have a single pre-primary as well. It is due to the that contextual reality. We are unable to find many children. We are unable to bring children from long distances to that school campus. So for those setups, we have one single pre-primary class. But in most of the schools, we have been able to give two pre-primary classes, and still we are struggling with this pre-primary one class. In South schools, they have pre-primary one class. In GB, they have two pre-primary class. In Chatral, I have no any pre-primary one class for 2+ age children. So this change was done after the study. And then pre-primary to revision of learning competencies, as Malika discussed that we identified, we set minimum learning standards for pre-primary 2, pre-primary 1, and also for pre-primary 3. So we tried to align them with grade 1 standards. So this was done, and curriculum alignment, as I discussed, collaboration between practitioners. Here we want to say that there are huge differences in pedagogical approaches of teachers of pre-primary and primary. So we have been able to change those grade 1 and grade 2 classes. Still we are working on it. So now the practices are they are same, so that the transition issues can be minimized. This is one way. There are other activities we are also doing to minimize those gaps. Collaboration, pedagogical approaches is next. teachers level transition, as I discussed that, for example, in Chetral, what I am doing, the same training is given to grade 1 and grade 2 teachers. The classrooms are set as we have in pre-primary grades for grade 1 and for grade 2. So there are a number of such activities we have adopted to bring to minimize those gaps. So another very important thing we have done that we are hiring very active and very qualified teachers for pre-primary grades, and then they are going through a rigorous process of trainings, foundation course, and we have other courses as well, advanced level courses, etc. And then these are the trainings we do for for teachers development. So most of the approaches, they are same for pre-primary as well as for grade 1 and grade 2 teachers. So this is very important change we have got. Next. And then we have improved our student admission criteria as well. We are working in very remote areas. There you will find a 3 years child as well, a 6 up to 8 years child as well in the same class. So now, we have improved it, and we have been able to change the perception of the parents about mostly we are receiving modified ages in the school. So we are still working on it, but things have improved a lot. Now mostly you will find same age children in different grades in pre-primary grades. So it is improving, and still we are working on it. Admission test now we have for pre-primary 2 as well, for pre-primary 3 as well. Before we were receiving everybody. Now we are, the children are going through a process to get admission in that school. Parents' engagements, this area has been improved a lot. Here, this digital platform, they are also providing the platform to engage the parents, all the time in school activities. So, child-friendly self-learning. Now, in the past, our displays were not, we were not following any criteria to set displays inside a class. Now we have a set criteria that this display will be made for this concept, and it will stay in a class for this much time, and then it will be removed. So every display should have a purpose in the class. In the past, we were displaying different things. So now you will not find any Mickey Mouse and other things in the class. Before we were trying to make the classes very colorful for the children. Now the displays are purposeful. You will not find irrelevant display or irrelevant materials inside that class. So, and then we have this bridging program as well. After pre-primary, for example, in Chetral, the academic session starts in April after spring vacations. So we have 1 week where the pre-primary teachers and grade 1 teacher, they sit together, where the pre-primary teacher will help the grade 1 teacher to follow the pedagogy which she is following in the pre-primary class, so the children will not feel that much change while they are in grade 1. So they are sitting together, they are working together, they are planning together to minimize that issue. And then we have introduced this synthetic phonics program. So it has changed the perception of the parents, it has changed the perception of the school leaders, everybody, the management. Now the children, they are, when we compare it with the past, they are fluent readers now. So we are still working on it now. We are moving towards the comprehension level. So still we are struggling there, but we are working on it. Then we have improved a lot this literacy, reading and writing area. As I discussed, the concrete pictorial effect for numeracy as well. So as I discussed that these displays have improved a lot. So now we have relevant, purposeful, and age-appropriate displays across the regions. And then we have digital learning resources we have developed during COVID-19. We have digital lessons for the children, and we share it with the parents. They practice it at home as well. So we give them in the USBs, and then we provide them to the parents. Acha, daily routine. Now we have enriched our daily routine. In the past, we were following high scope approach. In that approach, we did not have those special concept time for teaching English, teaching numeracy, teaching Urdu. It was integration. Through integration, we were doing those things. Though that model, that was not useful. Now we have, separate concept time for teaching Urdu, teaching English, and teaching numeracy. And also, the routine has been enriched. We have integrated so many activities there to make that 3 to 4 hours in the school very productive. And then we have improved our assessment procedures as well, parental engagement reading program. Now after this introduction of this synthetic phonics approach, in this approach, we have some, readers, the specific readers we have to follow for specific age children. And then we have supplementary readers, and then we have library books. So we are trying to, there is a stage-wise distribution from pre-primary 1. Children will do certain activities in pre-primary 2, and then pre-primary 3. This reading program will go up to grade 2. So it is very useful. Yes. Nowadays we are working on teachers profile, because we had to, after 2016 we have recruited very competent and very qualified teachers, but there are teachers. So they have received only foundation course, advanced level courses, but we have not been able to profile them so that different into categories. So in this area we are currently working that to maintain their motivation level. So we are working on it in different ways. So we are working on this area, and we are trying to develop this mentorship activities in the field. And also we have this vocational training teachers in our classes. If enrollment goes after a certain number, then we give an additional teacher. So sometime if that number goes up to 26, then we give an assistant teacher. If this number reaches 40, then we give 2 regular teachers in a class. So in this way we are trying to improve this, our programs. Thank you very much. We took a lot of your time.
You're welcome. You are end up with your presentation?
Yeah.
So please, any question from the audience and for the chair?
Could I ask a bit about how have you involved parents?
In previous days now, we did not have the concept of orientation of parents. Now, after the admission, we invite parents to the school, and that day we will discuss the school policies, the policies for students, policies for attendance, policies, different policies related with dress, school requirements, everything. This is first step. Now it is mandatory for the parents to come. In the past, we had no such activities in our schools.
Does that include getting them involved in supporting children's learning and reading?
Yeah. I would like to answer that as well. we are doing awareness sessions for the parents on different things. Like um, when we introduced, we are doing about health and hygiene and nutrition. But for the specific learning outcomes, when we integrated synthetic phonics to our curriculum, it was like a huge hue and cry for the parents. Like what you have brought in, it's a huge challenge for us. What to do now? So there were. It was like initially it was again a challenge for us. Like we were teaching sounds, they were teaching letter names. So the even educated parents came to us and they said, "What is this? Teach us." Then we have to standardize again in our regions. Okay, see, if we have integrated this thing, now we have to educate the parents on it. Then we started conducting sessions for the parents on the sounds, and then we, just like the teachers and the students, as a teacher I teach a student, similarly I did the same for the parents as well. The teacher had to conduct multiple sessions on how to teach them the sounds. We taught them sounds, and then again for the reading we did that, how to do reading it with your students at home. We did the awareness sessions, and it's continuous. Even if you are not having storybooks, go on with your local stories, folklores, and just tell them orally so that they could listen a story. It's not necessary to have a book. Your grandparents are there, so involve them. We are also inviting grandparents to our school sometime so they could orally tell the stories. That's how we have been engaging the parents.
And also we are sharing, for example, I have a reader. That PDF in PDF format I will share in that WhatsApp group. Sometimes the teachers they develop this digital lesson as well, how to teach this sound, how you will help. So the teachers will give demo lesson in that video. That video will be shared with the parents. So in this way we are doing, and now we are moving towards family literacy program as well, and home-based reading program. So there are a number of other activities we are doing for future.
So, if you allow me a question, please.
जी,
It's good that we have done for the study. But two things are confusing, at least myself. One is that you are talking about intervention. Whether those interventions were previously going on and you just explored those ones, or you yourself supposed some certain intervention that you thought to be effective and you introduced those as an experimental design. And another thing is important that you talk more about the gaps, not about the interventions. So your focus is on to explore the gaps, or to find the intervention, or to introduce the intervention. So this is my question. For my own understanding.
Initially, the main issue was that parents had, they were saying that when the children they are going through this your ECD program, they are unable to read and write in upper grades. When they reach in grade 1, they are unable to read and write. You are just doing these playing activities and these physical activities, artistic activities. They don't know alphabets. They don't know how to write their
So
names.
you introduced
So
the
this was
explored.
wait.
You
So
introduced the
this
explored.
this was one of the issue. For that, we studied our practices.
We explored some of the practices, like synthetic phonics approach is a worldwide phonics program, which we explored. Like we introduced the same thing in our schools. You see, some of the interventions we ourselves have made in our schools, like family literacy or a home reading program. Such interventions. See, we had a challenge of some specific activities. We did an analysis, and then we figured out what approaches are there globally. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we said, "Okay, let's apply these practices in our schools." That's what we did, applying synthetic phonics, enriching our PD activities. Like we ourselves design professional development, foundation courses. We ourselves developed them, and then we conducted those sessions. And it was not only us, it was with the help of global academics team. When I say global, that means we have certain specialized
Centers.
personnels at AKF level, and we involved them.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What I perceive that first of all you identify that what are the problems exist in different
Yeah.
practices,
Yes.
and then you identify some sort of interventions as a remedies for that.
Yeah.
Maybe the teachers, the parental training, or maybe the teachers training program.
Yes.
Pedagogical issues, content, each and everything. Explore the practices. Yes.
You mentioned about the vocational training. Which type of training it is? Is it for adults or during this age?
No. We have this term VTT, vocational trainee teachers. We are focusing the teachers, pre-primary teachers.
The
No.
teachers for vocational training?
No, it's like vocational trainee teacher means we developed this. We didn't purchase or involved, brought it from someone. It was a terminology. See, whenever you talk about a system, you have a challenge of the teachers, right? So we were having high enrollment schools where we were having one teacher with them. So what we did, there was a specific professional development framework for the teachers, and then again there was a specific category in that. We created vocational trainee teacher. That means there are so many graduates, undergraduates, or FSC students who were out there in the market. They were coming to us for the recruitment process, but they were having no any opportunity. So those vocational trainee teachers, we considered them as assistant teachers in our ECD classes. We added them into our existing system through this rigorous recruitment process. We brought in them as assistant teachers, and we call them vocational trainee teachers. They are there with us for 2 years, and we have to provide them PD to those specific PD those VTTs, because they are not regular ECD teachers, they are assistant teachers. So we usually conduct foundation courses, refreshers, and advanced courses for them so that they can build on and become regular teacher afterwards, and then again they apply for the mega recruitment, and then after that they become regular teachers as well.
And also, sir, we are working in some very remote areas. There you will not find a teacher. For example, if a teacher goes on maternity leave, so you will not find any person to replace her. So for that need, we develop these type of teachers so that they are available in that village every time.
And
So
the
this
ba-
is again one of the aim
Yeah.
of this.
And the basic thing was to capacity building of the pocket villages. We were hiring the students from the pocket villages, from the vulnerable areas, and we were building the capacity of those personnel there so that they could come up and be trained in some of the areas, and they can apply for those particular positions in that. Yeah. Your question has been waiting.
My question is actually related to when we talk about certainly gaps and the intervention part or the ECD part, where we talk not necessarily about literacy and numeracy. We talk about more of a holistic thing.
Yeah.
But with your intervention, don't you think that you have sidelined that part of it and focused more on the what we say, the term quote
Sure.
unquote, the academic part of it?
There was a terminology called daily routine in it. See, we are still working on the holistic development of the children. We are still using high scope teaching approach. It's not like that we are totally teaching English, Urdu, and maths, but we are focusing that daily routine where you have specific time for play area and the integration of those play-based learning. We said integration of learning, like where you have thematic integration from the specific areas. Like in our classes, we have defined areas. In high scope approach, you have to have certain setup where students could interact with the material. They have to explore, they have to plan their activities, they have to go in the areas, they have to work with the materials, and then they have to sit in a circle and they have to tell what they have did there. It's still with us. But the thing was, you see, by the end of a specific term, my child should be able to read and write for me as well, with all those cognitive or emotional and all those things. So we were doing more of social and emotional development, and again that cognitive development was somehow not going well. So we worked on that, and still it's integrated in it.
And also in
Yes, we have.
Perhaps an added question to that is certainly the high scope in itself is very much dense process,
Yes.
very intensive one.
Yes.
Now, aiding to much more into that particular already high scope learning activities, how did you manage this part of the teachers' burnout?
Well, you see, when we talk about a specific approach, basically these approaches have been developed in the Western society. You see, and it's already very dense, I understand that. But when you bring some of the approaches to a certain demography, it won't work for you. You see, it would be a challenge for you to run that. So you see, when we say high scope approach, its slogan is low cost, no cost approach. And we are not still able to maintain that Montessori method in our schools because it's really expensive. And considering my demography, I have to go for high scope teaching approach. And I believe we haven't made it dense. Rather, we made it very helpful for the teachers. They were planning for the daily routine. Then we thought they are overburdened now. So what we did, we developed standardized practices. Like we developed standardized lesson plans for the teachers, and we provided them, look, and we trained on them. And we asked them, this is your lesson plan, and you have to teach it, the resources and everything. You see, some old school methods, like some teacher has to make lesson plan by the end of the day. They have to make 2 or 3 lesson plans. And it was really challenging for the teachers. So we thought of some of their challenges, and then we developed standardized lesson plans for our teachers and the worksheets as well.
And also for very young children, when you will go to our pre-primary 1 class, you will find the same high scope routines. And when you will go to pre-primary 2, then you will find some, literacy, numeracy activities. So the activities are, we are adding those when as per the age grade. So even you will find this plan to review activities in our pre-primary 3 classes as well. So these are also part. And also this, in our foundation course, we teach this holistic developmental areas also to the teachers so that they can integrate. And also nowadays we have developed, across the region we are following certain themes. For example, one theme will work for 1 week, and another theme it may work for a month. So in this way we have divided the themes. We are trying to integrate all those activities in our practices.
Another question? Yes.
As you mentioned in your presentation that you have 3 primary categories, primary 1, primary 2. It means that your children are taking admission in school when they are 2 years age.
Yeah.
So wasn't it difficult for you to cope with the 3 classes simultaneously, and what is the curriculum for them? Or just, you are having activities like playgroup? Because there are 3 categories, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
How do you cope with them?
As I mentioned earlier, that in Pakistan, a single national curriculum has only learning standards for 1 Kachi class, that is for 4 to 5. We said that through this study we were able to identify minimum learning standards. We bifurcated minimum learning standards for pre-primary 2, pre-primary 3 and pre-primary 1 as well. So we have developed our curriculum as well based on it. We have developed the curriculum, and you will find the curriculum for pre-primary 1 with us. You will find pre-primary 2 curriculum as well with us. Now Pakistan national curriculum has bifurcated expected learning outcomes for 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. It's a latest edition. Right? They have just bifurcated. But prior to that, we ourselves, through this study, we did it at our level so that we can have an ease for our system and for the teachers to follow certain practices. And we developed a curriculum for them as well.
So
If you wanted to have
can we say that the standard which you have developed for the level 1, and according to your study, they have alignment with that other 2 national curriculum?
Yes. It was totally based on single national curriculum. And let me also add on, we were also part of revising single national curriculum of Pakistan, and we also took part in reviewing, developing and reviewing the books of for government of Pakistan. So we suggested changes to them as well to add on these particular age groups in the single national curriculum so that teachers could have benefit and understanding of it. So we also provided our own minimum learning standards to government of Pakistan so that they could look on it, they could see and could have checked on it. And we are supporting government schools as well, and we are giving these documents to them as well so that they could understand it and could do work on it. Yeah?
They are just simplified now. The minimum learning standards
Yes, I got it.
for 4 years children, they have
Yeah.
been simplified for 2 years. So there is a progression.
I have been working, for the last 14 years in your context. My context and your context is same. In terms of involvement of parents, as you mentioned that everything is okay, parents are, coming to schools, involving themselves, getting together, having, sessions. So in true spirit or true sense, I'm talking about Chitral. So in what, how do you rank? 10% parents are fully involved, or you are having still some challenges or problems?
There will be always challenges. It depends upon the context. Okay. When we talk about the schools located in town Chitral, they are 100% they are engaged. When you will go to upper areas, like it depends upon the location of your school as well. For example, if your school is located here and the village is at the top of the mountains, so it will be difficult for the parents to access to that school. So it varies. It varies school to school. It varies, valleys to valleys. So nowadays, due to this internet, it has made our life very easy. Everybody is engaged. Yeah, then the parents then know what is going on in the school, because these WhatsApp groups, we are sharing different activities. Parents share their concerns, and also this using school diaries was not in practice in our system. Now we are going to introduce those school diaries as well, so that the communication will improve with parents.
Anything else?
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. It was such a good and a nice study.
Thank you.
Thank you.